Wolf Hoffmann, you did a great comeback with Accept last year. You probably did the comeback album of the year, and you've been touring a lot. Did you expect all this when you planned the comeback?
No, like I always say, you cannot expect anything like that. I mean, you hope for it, but you don't really know what to expect in a situation like this. You have to remember, we've been away for 15 years, not made a record for 15 years, and here we are with a new singer, and we just don't know what to expect. You know, we were hoping that people would like it and that they would, like the new songs, but that's all you can do as an artist. I think you just give it your best, and then at the end of the day, you have to lay it out there and see how people react.
Most likely, it's the reunion shows that made the ball roll again and made you want to do this. And when Udo didn't want to join you, did you ever doubt if you wanted to continue with Accept?
Well, when he said he doesn't want to work with us anymore, Peter and I just put it aside. Put it away. We couldn't really do anything, because if you don't have a lead singer, there's not much you can do, and we didn't think there's anybody out there that would be a good fit for us, or we'd never heard of anybody, and we were not going to go through the whole auditioning process and trying to find somebody. I guess both of us didn't really have the energy and the idea to do any of that, but all this changed one day by luck when we ran into Mark Tornillo. The old material sounds so strong with him. We wonder what new material would sound like. If we write specific stuff for Mark and with Mark, then, it can only go up. I mean, the sky is the limit at that point. And, it all worked really, really well.
What was the writing and recording process like? I mean, did you feel that you had such a great album in you still? I mean, after 15 years?
I have to say we were pretty ballsy to just announce to the world that we're going to make a new album, because at that point we didn't have a clue. We didn't have not a snippet of anything written at that point. We just said, Accept is coming back and we're making a new album. And then we looked at each other and thought like, uh-oh, how do we do this? Now we actually have to sit down and start writing new stuff. But I mean, we were confident enough that if it worked in the past, why wouldn't it work now? Because it's the same. Peter and I are almost like joined at the hip when it comes to this kind of stuff, writing riffs and writing songs together. We've been doing it, even though we've had a long break in between, we've been doing it for so long, and we've known each other for so long that we felt confident we can do it again. And especially if you have a partner like Mark on your side who really wants to do and wants to give his best and is pulling in the same direction, then, we said, my gosh, this has to work. It's going to be good, great.
The album sounds exactly what it should sound like. I mean, it sounds like Accept with a new vocalist.
Right.
Was it important for you to make it sound like Accept? I mean, it's your trademark guitar playing. You have Peter's bass and the choruses and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give Andy Sneap a lot of credit in that, because he sort of came on board as a fan and a world-class producer, and he constantly nudged us in the right direction from an Accept standpoint, a fan standpoint. And the criterion for us, if we had to decide between two songs or two ideas, it was always for us, well, what would we have done back then? Or what would an Accept fan rather have, this song or that song? And then, if we weren't sure, we asked Andy, and he clearly said, this one, and make it sound more German, and make it, and at the beginning of all this, we didn't really know what he meant. What's German? Why does this sound more German than that? But after a while, it became pretty obvious what he was after, and we sort of, were pulling in that direction.
Was it like you had to pick up the guitar again when you reunited with Accept? I mean, it's been 15 years since you played, and you've been working as a photographer ever since.
Yeah, but playing guitar is like riding a bicycle. You don't ever completely forget it. I mean, there was times when I wasn't playing as much, but I was always, I was still playing guitar. So that part wasn't. Maybe it was a little rusty first couple of weeks or something, but it all comes back. And I've been working on little side projects here and there, and I was still playing. And you know, I have a home studio, and I was still working on stuff from time to time.
Are all the riffs on the album new?
Yeah, yeah. All that stuff was written. I mean, Peter and I had such a creative phase. We were getting together sometimes for a week at a time at my house or at his house, or we met someplace, and sometimes even online. And we had such a creative phase that within 2-3 months we wrote 30, 40 songs, and out of which we picked the strongest 14 ideas and finished them to be on the record. We didn't record all these multiple songs, but we worked on them, and we had them as rough demo sketches. And you know, the way that we write is always the same. We start with riffs and chorus ideas and vocal lines, and then if we, you know, if got enough stuff that's worthwhile pursuing, if we've got something that we really feel strong about, we'll then finish it, you know, with like middle sections and solo parts and all that. But not until we really are sure this is going to be one of the surviving tracks, you know.
So you have a lot of stuff for forthcoming albums then?
Yeah, a lot of like 3/4 finished songs, definitely. If we wanted to go that way, we could easily make all that stuff into another album, but we want to start working on a new album in June or July of this year when we stop touring, and I bet you we're not going to even revisit too much of this old stuff, because by that time we'll just crank out new riffs, which is even more fun, you know.
What was the plan when you recorded this album? Was it to release several albums, or just to release this and see what happens?
Just the one. I mean, you mean, well, you got to start somewhere. You don't really set out and say, we're going to release, you know, 10 albums in the next 10 years. You just make one, and then you see what happens and where it goes from there. But definitely we have long-term intentions on this whole endeavor. I mean, we don't want to do all this and then disappear for another 15 years, because we're getting too old.
Sure.
It's now or never. We want to use the momentum we have and keep going, because seems like we're in the prime of our, you know, life right now. We have a lot of fun on stage. I think the chemistry in the band is better than it ever was, and why stop now? We want to keep this going. We're having a ball, you know.
Sure. What is it like, you know, going back to this rock and roll star of life? I mean, be touring that much as you did before. I mean, it's like 15 years ago since you did that last time.
It really hasn't changed that much. I mean, quite honestly, you in your mind, you forget the negative parts of the traveling and how tired you are and the bad food on the road, and you always think about the glory moments on stage. But those moments are really that the hour or two every day that's the time that it's why we all do this. That's what makes it all worthwhile. Because there's really nothing in life to me that I have done that compares to the thrill that you get when you're on stage or when you're in the studio and you create stuff that people like and cherish. I mean, having just made this record, and it's metal record of the year in so many countries and so many places, that's pretty rewarding. It's pretty nice. It feels better than anything else that I've come across. You know, I like being a photographer and all this stuff, and it's rewarding at times, but it's nowhere near as you know, rewarding as being a musician.
When it comes to your show and your set lists, you recorded a lot of songs with Accept back in the days.
Sure.
Do you surprise your audience these days with some of the older stuff?
Yeah, one of the cool things about Mark is he really enjoys mixing stuff up and trying a new song here and there, you know. He's really not afraid to dig some stuff out of our big catalog and just throw it into the set list all the time, you know. And so we do that quite frequently now, and I really enjoy that. We're playing songs that we've never really played in as long as I can remember. Cool. And I mean, not the whole set list, but I mean, we'll toss them in there. The audience seems to dig it, and again, now with the internet, people know in advance what the set list was from last night, so they really appreciate if there's a surprise for tonight, you know, and they talk about it, and that's cool. That keeps us on our feet and our toes, you know, and we enjoy it too.
I guess that forces you to listen to the old stuff again. What is it like listen to what you did that many years ago and tracks that you haven't been listening to
It's
probably for
crazy.
last years.
I mean, I tell you, we had the idea to play the complete Restless and Wild album in Switzerland about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And in order for everybody to prepare for that, we had to actually sit there. I had to sit there and listen to the whole album and actually learn these old licks and riffs and stuff. And I felt like I was back. In my mind, I was immediately taken back to that time in that rehearsal room in Solingen in 1979 or 1980 or whenever it was written. And it was weird. It was a time travel a little bit.
Sure.
Because normally I don't really listen to my old records, and surely not that intensively. Sometimes you hear a track here or there, but honestly, this was a journey back to those days.
You were a huge influence to many guitarists back then, and you still are. When you listen to that old stuff, do you feel that you sound kind of immature, or that you
I
were
do.
young?
I mean, definitely. Sometimes I'm surprised about, that's a pretty cool idea I came up with there. But other times I go like, ooh, I would do that much better nowadays, or much more mature or whatever. I guess it's weird when you play an instrument for so long. I don't think you get measurably better, but somehow you get more mature, I guess. It's the right word for it. You get more self-assured, and you know what you are and what you stand for, and you feel more relaxed at your instrument. But, in those days, I definitely feel like we were young, and, it was a little hectic, everything. And, we weren't, hey, man, we were just kids.